Hello, all, and thank you for joining Ceipal's webinar series, Winning Strategies for Staffing Businesses at Critical Times. For today's webinar, Ceipal and Nexxt Perspectives on how business insights drive staffing firms to profitability, Ceipal is joined by Nexxt VP of Strategic Alliances, Nikos Livadas. Our flow today will begin with Ceipal's VP of Marketing, Peter Velikin, who will give a brief presentation on business intelligence today. Following Peter's presentation, Nikos will discuss the next generation of hiring, and we will conclude today with a product demo on business intelligence from Ceipal's CTO, Amar Chadiparala. So before we launch into today's webinar, there are a few housekeeping items to cover. First, each webinar will be recorded and available on demand through Ceipal's website. A follow-up email will be sent to all registrants with the webinar recording, presentation, and any other relevant material. Second, we will have a Q&A session following the presentation. All participants have entered this webinar muted, so please enter your questions in the chat box and we will address them at the end of the webinar. And finally, we have a few polling questions we would love to launch before we begin. I'll run these questions now. Please let us know your thoughts and then we'll get started. So our first question today is, which of the below changes will become mainstream industry practices even in the post-pandemic era? All right. Okay, wow. So 80% of us thought that work from home would be a main industry practice, with online interviews as a very, very remote second. It's good. Okay, our second question today is, which of the below things should be a priority for staffing companies as part of learning from this crisis? Okay, so 72% of us thought that building stronger client and candidate relationships would be a priority for staffing firms, with better internal communication processes at 17% behind. That's wonderful. Okay, cool. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our presenters for today. So first, Ceipal is honored to be joined by Nikos Livadas. Nikos leads the Nexxt Alliances team in identifying the most promising HCM technology partnerships and alliances to help match job seekers to their ultimate job opportunity and vice versa. Prior to Nexxt, Nikos worked at Monster, where he led the software solutions and alliances team in evangelizing and selling semantic search, texting, ATS CRM, and AI-based solutions in the global HCM market. Welcome, Nikos.
Thank you,
Our
Sheila.
second, no worries. Our presenter today, Peter Velikin. So Peter is an entrepreneur and marketing executive with 20+ year track record of building companies and commercializing technologies in multiple high-tech and consumer product industries. Prior to joining Ceipal, Peter has built international brands through continuous 100% annual growth and industry performance, leading marketing campaigns. And finally, Ceipal is joined by Amar Chadiparala, our own CTO. Amar has a passion for looking toward the future. He joined Ceipal in 2011, where he was tasked with building an internal database of the most sought-after profiles on the market. Little did he realize that this database would evolve into one of the most versatile and efficient HCM systems available on the market today. At Ceipal, we're very excited to hear from such industry experts. Nikos, welcome. And with that, Peter, I'll pass it off to you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. And very exciting webinar today. It's a very interesting topic: how business insights drive staffing firms to profitability. I'm joined today by Nikos from our partner Nexxt and by Amar. And it's an interesting day for the webinar because today's presentation coincides with the launch of the Ceipal Business Intelligence Platform, which we released today. And I think it's a very important release that I'm convinced can transform an area that has been a traditional weakness for pretty much every applicant tracking system into a real strength for our customers. And in the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'll walk you through some of the considerations and analysis that our team went through in building this new business intelligence platform. I will touch base on the business intelligence and reporting, why it's so key to the success of staffing firms. We'll talk about some of the problems that have been plaguing the mainstream applicant tracking systems. Talk about the key applicant tracking system capabilities that you need so you can create these high quality actionable reports and dashboards to help you run your business better. I'll give you some examples of such key reports and dashboards. And then one thing that always has been key to the Ceipal philosophy is working and integrating into your process and trying to really fit in and support your current ecosystem and your current processes. And obviously, one of the most key parts of every staffing firm are the job boards. So we felt it's very important to have a partner give you additional insights into how you can gain further visibility and data and insights from the job boards. And I'm excited that Nikos will be able to provide that. And finally, we'll close with a demo of our newly launched business intelligence platform, which our CTO Amar will give you. Business intelligence, obviously, it's very important. It's the key to help you run your business better and profitably. And it's interesting that technology keeps raising the bar for what is required for staffing firms to be competitive. So the time to submission is shrinking, the quality of the sourcing process, the quality of the candidates, it keeps increasing. I think artificial intelligence has been a game changer. It substantially can transform and increase the power of what you can gain and what you can see within your business. In fact, in a survey that we ran at the end of last year, the staffing firms who identified reporting and business intelligence capabilities as important, as something that they need to improve, they were much more likely to deploy artificial intelligence than the ones that hadn't. And then obviously we have the curveball that we live in right now, the COVID-19 business reality, where the types of intelligence, the types of reports and analysis that you need to run has been completely changed. Where at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, most of your reports or a lot of your reports were focusing on the time to submission, trying to identify scarce talent, trying to outcompete your other competitors in submitting quality candidates faster. The rug has been pulled from under you basically because there's so many things now to look and analyze. So you need to first and foremost worry about running a profitable business. You need to watch your gross margin. You need to look at multiple different areas. So the ability to quickly gain insights into so many things has become, I think, the key to those firms that will continue to thrive and will adapt and actually emerge stronger out of this, out of the pandemic that we live in, and the firms that will struggle. So business intelligence and reporting is key, I firmly believe, to running a profitable and successful staffing business. Yet that is the one area that I think has been a traditional weakness for pretty much every applicant tracking system in the past. In fact, the recent survey that we ran showed that almost 50%, that's really half of all respondents, were unhappy with the reporting capabilities of their applicant tracking system. So the reasons that they cited: difficult to understand reports, reports that are not customizable to their needs, or if you needed to customize them, there were extra upcharge fees for the report creation, metrics that were not relevant, faulty integrations with third-party systems, errors with reporting. I think the last three are pretty scary because the only thing that's worse than not having data is to actually have data that is wrong, that drives you to wrong conclusions and making the wrong decisions. So so that's obviously a no-no that needs to be changed ASAP. So why have applicant tracking systems not been able to do these good business intelligence reporting? I believe that one of the key reasons is, goes back to the kind of the history and the architecture. Most of the mainstream ATS platforms, they were created 15, 20 years ago. And at the time, they were great software platforms, great architectures that really did a great job. But as the technology has evolved very rapidly, I would say the last 15 years, this technology, these platforms have become outdated. And it's admirable that, that these vendors have really tried to stretch them and kind of make them work and adapt to what is needed today. But there's only so much where you can go. So that leads to then at some point when you give up, you try to cobble up multiple databases, you integrate multiple places where the data resides. But that makes it difficult because now you have to basically pull data from different places that structure it in a different ways. And you have to make sense of it. So that leads to these hard-coded reports that you may make them work, but they're not flexible at all. And you can't adapt, you can't change. So you end up accumulating a bunch of hard-coded reports often that's part of the problem, because whatever the title that you put in, a lot of the staffing firms, they will look in, they'll find a report that meets, they think they meet their need, it may be completely the wrong thing. And most of these reports are not easy to visualize, so you have these tables and data overload. So you end up basically making decisions based on the wrong data. So what do you need to actually be able to overcome this? One, you have to be able to pull data from all sides of your business, from the sales side, from the sourcing side, the recruiting side, the candidate analytics, your internal workforce reporting. You have to get this data and be able to run reports and create graphs and dashboards that synthesize data from what is relevant and what is needed. So you have to be also able to seamlessly pivot this data to multiple variables. So you want to see your report, let's say by client, then you have to look and see the report by account manager, by recruiter branch, by geographic location. You also have to be able to modify the date or time of requirement versus submittal versus client record versus interview. Let me give you an example. So many staffing firms, they would tie the submittals to interviews, to job hires, to the actual job requirement, the date of the job requirement, and that makes total sense. But their clients, for example, they may not do so. They may tie to the actual physical date when it happens. So the job requirement may have been delivered in May, but the interviews were scheduled in June. So in their reporting, they would be tying the interviews to June, even though they're in your report, you'll be tying it back to the original submission in May. Both of them are valid, different needs. So your system should be able to very easily tie and give you these different views that are important to understand the business and understand your client. You also have to be able to visualize it with easy to understand graphs, because at the end of the day, data to the business managers is to help them operate and run the business, not to turn them into data geeks to run through myriads of tables and so on. You have to go and pin these reports to create dashboards that are usable, that you can actually quickly glance and drive decisions. You also don't want to reinvent the wheels, because obviously you're not going to ask executives to go and create tens or dozens of reports out from scratch. So you want to have a set of standard reports that you can use, you can pin. But again, every firm has its own needs and nuances. So if you hard code it and it's not changeable, it loses its use. It actually can become detrimental. So you want to be able to get these standard reports, but be able to easily modify and tweak them to fit your needs. So that is a given. These are the requirements that all firms would need, so they can make data accessible and they can drive decisions to profitability based on this data. So what are examples of some of these reports? So let's take the executive reports. So you need gross margin reports. You have to be able to see it by client, by account manager, by source. You also want to see how you're being measured, how your clients or your MSP are measuring you. So you want to see your job requirement scorecard. So you have to easily get a report like that from the eyes of your client. You want to be able to see submittal to interview to hire ratios by client, by recruiter, by time of submittal. And I think the ability to be flexible and to see those things could be very insightful. I mean, I'll share an anecdote that to me was very, very interesting and very powerful. So one of the large staffing firms, they run their business by focusing very much on the time to submittal. So all the recruiters, they were really striving and being measured in submitting the candidates within the first 48 hours. Because again, we know that the sooner you submit, you get in, there's a higher chance to go. But when they ran the report, it turned out that only 12% of their hires, of their interviews, were submitted in the first 48 hours. In fact, 58%, the vast majority, were submitted between 48 and 96 hours. And that was obviously counterintuitive and led to deeper analysis. Well, it turned out that in the rush to submit very quickly, often they were submitting not the best candidates. They didn't have enough time to vet them, to select them. So the rush for time led to a hit in quality. So this analysis and the ability to do these reports led them to focus on quality over time. And again, it all goes back to the ability to easily visualize, easily go and see what is happening and get a performance dashboard. Let's go now through some of the types of reports. So you have client reports. So you want to be able to get requirements coming from a client, submissions made to client, and so on. You have your account management reports that you want to manage by account, by an account manager, number of meetings, requirements to submission to interview, and so on. You have other reports. You have the recruiter's productivity reports. So summary on the applicants, submission summary reports, recruitment summary report. Yet again, you have other types of reports, and they're all important. Job board activity reports. You want to get sourcing reports. You want to get job board trends report, job boards dashboards. You have the submission reports, the applicant submission history, pipeline report. You have the internal staff reports, whether it's your employee dashboard, employee utilization, billability reports. Again, very important reports for different parts of the organization. Reports that are needed. You want to create the dashboards. You want to create graphics, visualization. But I think as I was going through these reports, one of the things is, wow, I mean, there's dozens of reports just here, and there's probably dozens and dozens more. So what happens is if you overload executives with too many reports, too much data, at the end of the day, they end up using none. And I think that's the problem that our business is in today. Data is hard to visualize. Data is hard to get the right data. You get lots of numbers, lots of tables, lots of charts, but there's so many that at the end of the day, you stop using them. Made even worse that some of those are wrong anyway. They may have the right title, but they're the wrong data. So we're not utilizing data. And I think the firms that will succeed and are succeeding will make it easy and possible for their executives to visualize data and be able to make decisions. And I think this is the key. Have the right data, make sure that it's easily visualized, make sure that you can actually select the right reports and the right information, create these dashboards for executives so they can easily understand and make the right decisions on them. Whether it's the team performance reports, forecasting revenue and pipeline, tracking and monitoring performance, ultimately making educated decision making. Because again, data will help you give context and information to make the decision. Executives still need to make educated decision making based on incomplete information. Giving them and visualizing the right data, I think, is what will make them more powerful. And that's what led to Ceipal really investing in a big way to try to give you this capability, to give you this easy access to standard reports that are beautifully visualized. You can pin them to reports, you can adjust them. At the end of the day, trying to make your organization and your executive more productive. So that's in as a high-level overview for me. Amar will give you later a demo of how you can actually use this new business intelligence platform. Now I would like to pass to Nikos, who can give you more insight into the type of data you can get from job boards.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Beautiful. Loud and clear.
Perfect. That's great. So thank you, Peter. That was a great introduction to the needs of the current staffing ecosystem and what we have today in place, and given the crisis, especially analytics and data is critically important. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about Nexxt and what we're doing in the space and who we are. But I want to piggyback to what Peter just presented to us and talk a little bit about what we're seeing. There's a huge push, in the HCM space, the staffing space today, around big data and analytics. It's almost like our industry is the last frontier. You probably heard about analytics in marketing from many years ago. You heard about analytics in other disciplines many years ago. But I think what we're seeing today, and today is a testament to that with Ceipal's introduction of their BI platform, right? That the HR space, the staffing space, the HCM ecosystem in general is, putting its arms around analytics and trying to learn from analytics. And if you think about the times that we're in today, it's critically important that we do so. So that could be the daily operational BI reports that Peter mentioned. Data itself and big data itself also feeds a lot of what we've been hearing around AI and machine learning and deep learning. All the data you have in your Ceipal, platforms and instances can also help you get an insight into what's happening with your candidates, what's happening with your business. Supply and demand analytics is also key. As we all know, unfortunately, we have 35 million additional unemployed. Our unemployment rate has skyrocketed over the past 2 months. Knowing where these candidates are, where these people looking for a job are, what their skill sets are, and having the ability to access that readily is what will help us kind of recuperate after the current COVID crisis. Of course, strategic BI and gap analyses are some of the more advanced analytics, but I think you'll find that if you curate your data properly and you have enough of it, then you'll be able to do the analytics that are pertinent to your business. And what that means is that those resumes that you have in store, those jobs that you're posting for your customers on the various job boards will help you get the analysis that you need to move your business forward. So as with everything, as in life itself, everything begins with a question. So analytics and what Peter talked about, all these reports that he talked about, taking it down to a tactical front, you're asking a question. Where are my candidates? What's my time to fill or submit? How am I performing this year versus next? Everything begins with a question. And a lot of you I know are hearing about BI and AI, more importantly lately. It all ties well together. But it all starts from a question. It all starts from that need for the business to get to those answers. And I think, as I said earlier, very few players in this industry, in the CRM, ATS space, or the general platform have actually taken that leap to provide their users the ability to ask those questions, those analytical questions that Peter talked about earlier. Now, again, as you look forward, BI is the first step towards a total AI strategy down the road, because you do need to think about BI today and AI and how it can help me in the future to predict my business going forward. So what we're seeing here, I'm not getting to get the detail here, is BI and knowledge management and curation of your data and all the data that you have in your Ceipal platform is critical to actually getting to that next step and reaching AI eventually. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in the next couple of years, you'll be looking to do that. So BI and AI's role in talent acquisition is to answer those questions. What is my submission rate data? What is my time to fill data? What is my supply and demand data? Where's the talent? Where do I need to start hiring to get that particular skill set? Is it Silicon Valley, or can I find it in RTP, or can I find it in Austin, Texas? And where should I direct my attention? All this type of data comes into play. And if you think of what your customers want as well, they're doing the same thing. So as a staffing company, you got to cater to what your end clients want as well. And they're on their end are doing a similar type of analysis, right? They're trying to figure out who to engage with, who can get them the talent, and who can get them over the hump, especially in our times today. And you don't have to believe Peter or I. Just in February, Harvard Business Review did a whole article. I encourage you to read it. This is not a pitch for Harvard, but it's a good read sometimes. And how could this affect us? It saves, data itself and the abundance of data. The more data we have can help save our recruiters' time, improve our efficiency, increase our submittals, make more placements, obviously save money, increase the ROI of our platforms, and provide that faster growth to our organizations and companies. And again, it's something that people are starting to realize. But the question comes up, where do I get data today? I have a large database in my Ceipal database. Where can I find that data? Well, this is where job boards like Nexxt come into play. Nexxt is a very unique job board, in the top 5 of our job boards here in the United States. And job boards over the years have done a great job in obviously allowing you to post jobs for your end customers, allowing you to find resumes. But the way it's done is really critical. I think Nexxt has done a phenomenal job in creating a community where talent feels enticed to come and submit their information. as a staffing company, you're always looking for that best, that best talent. So instead of creating a job board in the sense of a job board, we created a talent community and a membership where we have 75 million members in a variety of different disciplines that I'll show you later. And that is important because through your integration with Ceipal, you have access to all that information. So that is critically important. The other important factor is you need, when you look at a partner to work with, be it Ceipal or Nexxt or anybody out there in the industry, you need to look for a steady traffic or stream of data, a steady stream of candidates, a steady stream of jobs. For example, at Nexxt, we have 7+ million visitors per month, and that's increasing right now. These are pre-COVID numbers. We've seen a tremendous increase month to month. So we're holding back and showing kind of the new numbers because they change every day, but it's exponentially larger because people want to visit and are looking for jobs. Now, what we do at Nexxt, we create a nice little profile for the candidates, as you can see to the right, almost like LinkedIn, but we're not a social aggregation site. We're not a social media site. We are a place or a location or a destination where people come to look for a job. So everything is professionally managed that way. But again, this is a great source of data. So basically, the ability to find real and new, fresh data. Data relevancy is important. Nexxt itself is not the be-all and end-all in our organization. We have 55 different job boards and 11 diversity sites that actually attract talent across the nation, be it tech careers, healthcare job site, and the talent comes in that way and joins this community and is made available to you as a customer of ours and to you as a customer of Ceipal's. Job promotion is another area where we can help as well. We obviously, just like a lot of the other job boards out there, allow for job distribution and job promotion. We have our own programmatic capabilities. We can do targeted distribution. We can manage alerts and analytics, of course, that tie into what you do with Ceipal. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is that as you look at your analytics today, and as I mentioned earlier, the more data points you have, the better informed decisions you will make. Be it internal, strategic, programmatic analytics, day-to-day, be it forward-looking analytics that will tell you how your business is going to go in the future. Finding the right candidates and having those at hand so you can service your own customers better is critical in today's world. In the meantime, though, while you're doing that, you are collecting new and fresh information that will allow you to do strategic BI and analytics going forward. So you can target your business where the industry is going geographically, from an industry standpoint, or whatever that might be. So search, of course, is another area that you currently have the ability to do through Ceipal, and that's why they're such a great partner of ours. Ceipal is fully integrated with Nexxt, so you can actually take advantage of this flow of candidates through Nexxt and find them on your right within your Ceipal instance. So it's critically important, again, to think about where that information is, how you have access to it, and how you can enrich what you have internally right now in your platform as far as candidates and data with new information. And right now, I'd like to pass it on to Amar, and he will actually show us how to get access to all this information right within Ceipal.
Thanks, Nikos. So that was a very good presentation. Thanks, Peter. So good afternoon, all. So thanks for taking some time to join our webinar. And we are so delighted to showcase our Ceipal BI platform to all of you. So this is a complete overhaul for the reporting. So I'm going to walk you through. So I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So so the Ceipal reporting is quite complete, quite different with the current BI that the other tools offer. So one thing that we can be proud of, so it's completely custom built, so that we have a greater control on what we do, what sort of reports that we generate, and everything. So until now, so we have been giving a very standard dashboard for all the customers. So this is the the classic dashboard that what we call. So this one is kind of not customizable by anybody. So whatever the new option that needs to be incorporated here has to be done by us. But if now, so with the custom dashboards, custom reporting, pretty much every user can have the flexibility to create on their own. Before I go to the dashboards, I'm going to explain you how the report works, how the customers can create their own reports and then convert them into a dashboard. So we have given a custom BI tool, so where they can customize all the reports. So this is the page where they can create some of the reports or customize the existing reports that what we queue. So the beauty of this one is, so Ceipal is providing all the standard reports. Every module comes with at least 5 or 10 standard reports. On top of that, the customer wants, they can create a new custom report, or they can configure or customize an existing report that what we queue. So which is not available in the market. So that is a kind of differentiating factor with Ceipal. Say for example, if I'm going to see this one, so wherever you see the delete option, so that is a custom report or configured by the users. But if you see this one, active jobs from everybody, meaning all the jobs that what we have here. So we're showing up here. If the customer wants to customize the standard report that what we are providing, they should be able to do that. So I'm going to pull these filters, and then you can see a lot of options here, either customizing the columns or defining your own filters. You can write your own filters here also. So I can see, hey, give me the jobs with multiple statuses here. So I want to see all the jobs that are declined in the draft mode, filled status, so on and so forth. So you can pretty much create your own filters, and then you can remove some of the columns or rename some of the columns as well. And then these are the columns that you want to select or remove some of the columns. So that's pretty much you can do it. And then here you can group by, let's say if I want to see the data based on the job status, based on the client, based on the priority, pretty much you should be able to categorize the data as well. So once you do that, you should be able to save this as a new report. So what I'm going to do, I'll just remove this filter, and I'm going to say, hey, give me only the reports for this year. I don't want to see all of them, but categorize based on the job status. I'm going to pull this column onto the top, and I'll say, hey, categorize the data based on that. I'm going to generate the report. Now you can see the data is categorized based on the job status, and I can go ahead and save this report. I'll say active jobs by status. And while you're saving the report, so you should be able to modify the column names. Let's say job title, position title, which I don't like it, but if I want to make that as a job title, and then save it, so your report is going to be saved. So basically you took a standard report that what we have provided, and you are making some changes to that. And I'm going to give this access to everybody within my company, so they should be able to see that report. That's another flexibility with the security especially. Now I've saved that report. Now your report is going to be shown up similar to what you have configured that. So if I go to the job postings, so see here, this is the active jobs by status. That'll be there for every time that you come here. You should be able to make it as a favorite report, and then generate the report. You should be able to see all the data. You really don't need to select the filters or make some changes to the report and everything. So once you do that, pretty much you should be able to export the data, or even you can email the data to somebody else within your company. That's the flexibility we have. So once you have these reports, next thing is you go add them onto the dashboard. Instead of looking at 10 or every day coming here and then watching about 5-6 reports, mailing them or exporting them. So the dashboards will give you a very better flexibility to manage all of them on a single screen. Say for example, I'm going to create one more report here. Applicants, I'm going to create a graph report right now. I'm going to say give me all the applicants by sources. Okay, I'm going to say count, and I can say probably all records. Here you can select the line, the chart, which chart that you would like to go for. I'm going to go for a 3D pie, and then go generate a report. Now this data is coming, it's a very huge data because you're pulling all the data. So let me go and then customize that only for the last 6 months. Go generate a report. Now you have a graph report ready. that you should be able to add to your dashboard. I'm going to save this. Applicants by source last 6 months. I'm going to access within my team to everybody. Probably I can give only to, only certain roles. I can do either one. Go save the report. Now your report is ready. The next thing is that, you go create all these reports onto your dashboard, which is a very easy way to go through all of them. So now if I go to the dashboard, so this is the classic dashboard that we give. Here you can see few options that you can customize the dashboards. So if I just click on, I've already have created some of the dashboards, like the executive dashboard, the meeting dashboard, or a daily review dashboard, so on and so forth. So if I go to the daily review, so some of the reports that I've already created here, I've already placed all of them. So if I go see, these are the applicant by status. I have about 10 people who are already in place. 15 people I don't want to call them. So this is the EUO report for gender. Sales manager jobs for the past 3 months. Applicant by source I've already created here. So you can pull any sort of reports that I've created within the system onto the dashboard. Now, if I want to add one more dashboard to this, meaning one more report to the existing dashboard, just go click on edit. Now go create a new component, meaning add a new component. So when you do that, so if I go to the applicants module, so this is the report that I've created in the custom BI. So I'm going to select that. Now you have to select which sort of layout that you need for that, meaning you can split the row into 3 parts, or you can split that into 2 parts, or whatever you can do it. So this is how the screen can be split into. I'll go ahead and do that. And here also you should be able to select what sort of data that you wanted to see for. So I have selected a lot for last 6 months, but we are restricting here. So I'll say I want to do for last 3 months. Preview that. You should be able to select different sort of the charts here. So let's say if I go for a 3D bar, go preview that, save that report. Now your dashboard has that component here displaying. You should be able to see anytime here, and then go ahead and save this component. Now your dashboard has that component anytime that you come here. So while you're reviewing with the team, you can just go through one by one instead of pulling out multiple reports. This is a single place where you can look at all of them. So now if I want to switch back and forth, so this is one of the executive dashboard that we have created. If I go there, you can see the placements by client. So these are all my placements. And then some of the reports are really fun to work with. So let's say you're looking at this report. If you wanted to do some sort of playing, you should be able to do that. So now you see Praveen has 3 interviews, and you should be able to pull one more report here, meaning one more slice within that pie, within the donut. So you should be able to see here. So that's the kind of reports that we have given. So these are kind of interactive. It's completely in your control on what sort of report that you want to generate, how you want to place them on your dashboard, looking at multiple reports on a single dashboard. So this is a very intuitive way of designing these things. So you can see how many people have logged in by date wise, how many placements by recruiter, how many interviews are there by each and every client that you have. And if you wanted to filter out the data only for the dashboard itself, you can generate that too. So that's how I've done. Each and every component I have customized before I pull them onto the dashboard. So you can see terminations by recruiter and client. So you can see multiple levels of categorization. So I've categorized based on the recruiter, and then I have categorized based on the client. So this will give you a complete picture of everything what is going on within your company, by recruiters, by clients, by applicants, by placements, terminations, tasks, notes, everything you can see on a single dashboard, which will give you greater visibility for what your team is doing. Everything can be. So the next thing is, so we are coming up with a couple more exciting options for these dashboards and reports, wherein you should be able to schedule any sort of report, right? So once you design your own dashboard or own report, now you expect that to be delivered within your inbox rather than coming here and generate that every now and then. That flexibility will be there. So you should be able to configure the report to be delivered, like, for every couple hours, every day, every week, or so on and so forth. You should be able to do that. So that's about the Ceipal reporting. It's quite extensive. If you need any further details, please do let us know. So please drop your details. We should be able to schedule a demo so we can do a deep dive, to explain all the other features on top of the reports that what we have. But we really appreciate for your time coming to this webinar. So hope you enjoyed the new feature that we have launched. With that, thank you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you for that wonderful product demo. And thank you, Nikos and Peter. Really great discussions. We're going to transition now into our Q&A period. So again, to all of our attendees, thank you for coming. Please do enter any questions you have in the question dropdown, and we'll answer them. But for now, so we're going to start with a question for Nikos. Can you give us any insights as to what skills are most in demand today? And what analytics can we rely on to sort of identify those skills?
Well, it's a great question, and some of it may be obvious to you, but I think the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry skill sets, be it nurses, LPNs, RNs, are in extreme high demand. We're getting a lot of requests from our customers and partners in the staffing space, trying to analyze, which nurses are active, looking for jobs, which nurses are looking to relocate. There's obviously, as we all know, a dearth of nurses in the United States. So we're seeing a lot of activity around the healthcare and medical and pharmaceutical type industries. We are also seeing a lot of interest in type of warehouse jobs, obviously for the likes of Amazon and other large online retailers, organizations that need warehouse management and resources to hire. Geographically, all these skill sets are actually national. You'd be surprised that some of the the most remote locations may be losing nurses to the cities, and they're looking to relocate nurses back into their locales in the remote areas, and are willing potentially to pay more. And that's where analytics can give you an idea what the going salary is in different geographies and areas, and how you can compete with other staffing firms in getting those hospitals the right nurses for the right price. And other areas, IT hasn't subsided much. Actually, we've seen IT be kind of flat over the past 2-3 months. And I'm assuming you're asking, during this crisis, but IT, interest in IT and jobs around IT, we saw a significant dip, but it's coming up very quickly. We're almost, I think, back to normal. I'm not gonna, I'd have to go look at the data on that to make sure. But I think we're seeing certain industries that are holding steady, and all others that there's a lot of demand. But the analytics basically is something that you can get, as we talked about earlier, from your internal data. And I think we saw in the demo how you can get that information. I'm sure you can get geospatial information there as well, right? On that, if you need more supply and demand data, we can work through Ceipal with you guys, or if you come to us directly, either way, to give you anonymized data so you can do your analytics and figure out, I need this type of talent, this type of skill set. Where can I find it? Where is it? Where is it appearing? Where are they going to find work? Where are they leaving? I think as our industry moves a lot into the BI space, we start with what we just saw today that Ceipal has done, and then we kind of expand slowly. We add feature sets to it so we can actually do the analysis and target our efforts in a particular area or industry where we think we can succeed. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So Amar, I guess the next question is for you. Can I build scorecard reports in Ceipal? For example, can I build a client scorecard or a delivery team scorecard, etc.? So how would the platform do that?
Yes, that's a very good question. That is one of the reports. I'm going to share my screen again. just so you see that. Do you see Sheila?
Yep, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yep. So yeah, so this is one of the reports that we have built for you, the client scorecard with the success rate. So you should be able to see most of the information. So we have removed some of the columns here, but you should be able to add more columns. So let's say if I go edit this one, and then I'm going to edit this widget alone. Go next. So we have removed some of the columns, but you should be able to pull the percentage for each and everything. How many positions that you have responded for, submissions to interview ratio, interviews to offer, and then offer accepted percentage. So you should be able to select all of them. And then every time that you add any new column, so you should be able to see here, go preview that. Now you can see the positions responded there, and then go save that. Now, whatever the column that you have added there, that should be visible on this widget every time that you come here. There you go. And I'm going to save this dashboard now. So that's pretty much it. So they should be able to, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
So we have another question. Which kind of IT skills will be more in demand in the coming weeks, as well as which industries will do more to contract hiring from the IT side? So where will we see IT demand skyrocket and where will we see it contract? I guess, Nikos, that's a follow-up to your earlier answer.
I wish I had a crystal ball here, or I wish I had a lot of data to analyze. There's an answer for you. But I think IT, obviously there's if we're talking about the United States, there's hotspots for technology and IT. Obviously Silicon Valley, Austin, Raleigh, Durham, RTP, Boston, and New York. Those are still going to, I think, in my mind, remain hotspots. Although I'd have to look at the data. I mean, but there isn't another area or contender right now. I mean, there is Canada, so Montreal being very strong in AI, for example, and Toronto always being strong in IT and software engineering. So if you look at North America, I guess those are the hotspots right now, and they remain. And actually, when we see this recovery, although I don't have a crystal ball and I can't predict right now, I mean those are the times where we're going to see a recovery happen for those skill sets. But again, the dip in IT was not as bad as obviously some of the other industries that we saw. Be it retail, services, you name it, anything that has to do with hospitality and travel, and even some manufacturing.
Okay, cool. So the last question we have, I think, is for Peter. And Peter, you mentioned that you had an industry report mentioned in your presentation. Can you just tell us a bit more about that and how we could get a hold of it? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the industry report that I was citing actually was we ran a report on artificial intelligence adoption, and so we had I think over 300 respondents to this report from staffing firms. So it is actually available on our website, and we basically can share more details as requested if you guys reach out to us. Speaking of reports, there's another one that I'm really excited about. We just teamed up with TechServe Alliance, which in my opinion is one of the most respected trade groups. And we are launching a new report, which will be a monthly ongoing dashboard of the staffing industry. It's very exciting because it will give real details and insights of how staffing firms are evolving and how they're managing the COVID crisis, how they're emerging post the crisis. We're actually launching this report today, and I would very strongly encourage everyone to participate, because by participating, you actually get access to get your own dashboard to benchmark yourself against your peers in the industry. So happy to share more details. If anybody's interested, just write to us, and we're very big on data because it helps us make decisions. So I'll be more than happy to dive in the details.
Okay, great. Thank you, Peter. Okay, with that, everyone, that concludes our webinar today. Before we wrap up, just a couple things. So as stated before, we'll send a follow-up email with all the relevant information. We'll send a link to the TechServe Alliance survey that Peter just mentioned, as well as the AI report. The other thing that we just want to note is that thank you for coming, and we hope that you'll join us for our next virtual event, which is Ceipal Connect. This is a half-day, like, big event. We're going to have 25 speakers from over 10 companies with 4 parallel tracks. There will be panel discussions and marketing how-to tips and product demos and the like. So it's July 17th. It's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we begin officially around 9 a.m. There's information on our website, and we'll send it in the follow-up email. With that, I'm happy to conclude our webinar today. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining us. We're really happy. Thank you to Nikos, especially, for joining us from Nexxt. We're happy to partner with you. And wonderful. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you all soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.